Very welcome to this chat, beautiful community. Mr. Prigozhin has unleashed an unprecedented public attack on Mr. Shoigu and Mr. Gerasimov. And even though there's actually so much to say about the fallout of the Kremlin drone attack, we're going to focus just on this issue today and hopefully be relatively brief. This is genuinely unprecedented, even though Mr. Prigozhin has made all kinds of statements. He's come out with two today. In one, he says that it's Gerasimov and Shoigu who are to blame for all of these freshly deceased bodies that are right behind him, and he screams at Prigozhin and Gerasimov. The second video, he says that Wagner is going to pull out of Bakhmut by the 10th of May, and that their ammunition hunger has gone from having 30% of what they need to, in the last month, having 10% of what they need. And he says that these that fat-bellied scum that is sitting there and orchestrating this war is irresponsible and disgraceful and sending these people out just to die. So I think there are three vital consequences from this. The first is the realization of quite how much Wagner are a private army, even though they're not a private army. And what I mean by that isn't that they're a private army in the sense that they do what they want, but in the sense that they do not do what Shoigu and Gerasimov want. They might do what Putin wants, but they're a private army in the sense that they are simply not going to coordinate with the head of the army and with the Minister of Defense about what they're doing. So that is one extraordinary thing, right? That the extent to which it's true has been really dramatized by this pronouncement. The second thing is that, as the wonderful Russian political commentator Kirill Rogov has said, I think a few hours ago, this is essentially an invitation to mutiny in the Russian army. So as soon as in one context or another, other Russian soldiers, regular Russian army soldiers, feel that they're really in trouble, they will have this image of being ordered around by people who are squabbling between themselves, who are self-serving, who don't know what they're doing, and who are to blame for their depleted predicament. So it is a sort of potential invitation to mutiny for the Russian military. That's a very powerful takeaway. And the third takeaway is that there is a gangster world kind of degree of autonomy in the way the war is being prosecuted and arranged. You are seeing contact between Putin and commanders that bypasses Gerasimov and Shoigu. You are seeing people who formally resign but keep on working in a slightly different capacity or for a slightly different wing of this entire enterprise. So where is Russia's deputy defense minister? Has he resigned? Has he not resigned? Has he resigned but is now hanging out with the Wagner people? What is going on? So there is a continuation at a time of war of the extraordinary kind of informality that actually existed for years in the Putin regime. And that informality was that the people who ran the country, except perhaps for the economic branch, were kind of a blend between a corporation, a board of a corporation, and a mafia organization. So to a certain extent, you had a kind of a table with people sitting there, but not everybody had a designated position. So you didn't have, everybody with a little label, and you could say, well, this is the CEO. The CEO is clear, that's Putin. But everything else was a bit of in flux, and it's almost as though they were divided not according to tasks, but according to fleetingly allocated ascriptions of hierarchical importance. And that kind of fluid weirdness has been translated into how the war is run. Now, if Mr. Prigozhin is saying that he's pulling out of Bakhmut, that is clearly not Gerasimov and Shoigu's decision, but it could be Putin's decision. So this statement illustrates this extraordinary autonomy in the way and fluidity in the way the military is run. And this will be very, very problematic the worse things go for the Russian military, right? Because this is a recipe for cracks and fragmentations. So I think these are my three takeaways. Overall, it's a desperate statement from Prigozhin in the sense that it does have the undercurrent, I'm screwed if I'm blamed for this. So it's between Gerasimov and me, and I need to escalate this. This is also about fear, and maybe even about physical fear for Mr. Prigozhin. And here he might be accountable not just to Mr. Putin or to people around Mr. Putin, but also to people in the criminal world who are not impressed with what he did, putting all these prisoners in the Minsk grinder and so on. So it's... First of all, it's real. It's not theater. It's done out of desperation. And then there are these three consequences that we've put on the table. So that's my takeaway. I hope it's of some help, and we're going to talk very, very soon. Lots of love.